Okay, so picture this. Two people, same city, same company, same $83,000 a year. And 5 years later, one of them is talking about buying their second property, sleeping well, no credit card balance. And the other one, same salary, same starting point, is still counting days to payday, still feeling that knot in their stomach when an unexpected bill shows up, still wondering where the money went. Nothing dramatic happened to either of them. No inheritance, no lucky break, no disaster. Just 5 years of quiet decisions going in two completely different directions. My name is Mila, and I'm obsessed with the small moves and hidden nuances that build real wealth. Today we are covering one thing: why two people earning the exact same income end up in completely different financial lives. And more importantly, which side of that split you are currently on. Now, here is what makes this uncomfortable. $83,000 is actually right around the median household income in America. That is the middle. That is most people. And you would think, okay, at least if you earn double that, triple that, you are safe, right? Recent research actually looked at this. About 48% of Americans earning over $100,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. And at $200,000, which is more than twice the median, roughly 1 in 3 are still living paycheck to paycheck. So, if income created wealth, that would not be possible. And yet, here we are. Because the truth is, a higher income does not automatically mean better financial health. There are people earning $200,000 a year who are just as trapped as someone earning $40,000. Different lifestyle, same anxiety, same rat race, same paycheck dependency. What actually determines your financial health has nothing to do with the number on your offer letter. It comes down to 7 specific split points. 7 places where two people on the exact same income quietly start moving in opposite directions. And by the end of this video, you are going to know exactly which side of each split you are currently on. Split point 1. Spending identity. Here is why this split matters before any of the others. Because if you do not understand this one, the other 6 will just sound like tips. And this video is not about tips. Money decisions are not logical. They never have been. People do not spend because the math makes sense. They spend because of how something makes them feel. Successful, safe, rewarded, seen. That is it. That is the root of almost every financial decision a person makes. And nobody talks about it because it is uncomfortable to admit that the thing you told yourself was a practical purchase was actually an emotional one. So here is where the split starts. One person earns their $83,000, and their money is constantly doing emotional work. A hard week at work becomes a new pair of shoes. A raise becomes a nicer apartment. A bonus becomes a holiday. Not because those things were planned, but because the money arrived and the emotion had somewhere to go. And in the moment, it feels completely justified. Because they did work hard. Because they do deserve something. But the pattern underneath is this. Every time money comes in, an emotion is waiting to meet it. And that emotion spends it before the person even realizes what happened. The other person is not emotionless. They are not depriving themselves. But somewhere along the line, they made a quiet shift. They stopped letting their feelings make the first move with their money. The emotion is still there, the reward is still there. But it happens inside a structure, not instead of one. One person's money is always being spent. The other person's money is always being directed. And this is why two people on the same income can look completely identical on the outside, same job, same lifestyle, same social circle, and have completely different financial realities underneath. Now, turn this on yourself for a second. When something good happens, where does your mind go first? And when something hard happens, a bad week, a frustrating day, a moment where you just need to feel okay again, what is the first thing you reach for? That answer tells you a lot about which side of this split you are currently on. Split point 2. Lifestyle. Inflation. Have you ever heard of the Diderot effect? So there was this French philosopher, Denis Diderot, and one day someone gifted him this beautiful, expensive robe, and he was thrilled. But then he walked back into his study, and something felt off. The desk looked shabby next to it. The chair looked worn, the curtains looked wrong. Everything that had been perfectly fine yesterday suddenly felt insufficient because one thing had changed. So he replaced the desk, then the chair, then the curtains. One gift turned into years of spending just trying to make everything match the robe. Not because he was foolish or irresponsible, Because that is what the brain does, and your brain does the exact same thing. Scientists call it hedonic adaptation. Every new level of comfort you reach, your brain adjusts to it and decides that is just normal now. Not a reward, not special. Just the new baseline. What felt like a luxury 6 months ago feels like a basic need today. And everything below that new baseline starts to feel like deprivation, even when objectively it is not. This is not a character flaw. It is not weak discipline. It is literally how every human brain is wired. And you see this most clearly in the people you would least expect. Think about doctors and lawyers. These are some of the highest earning professionals in the country. Educated, disciplined, intelligent people who still often end up carrying serious debt, not from their education alone, but from their lifestyle, the big house in the right neighborhood, the luxury car that matches the title on the door, the wardrobe, the holidays, the private schools, not because they chose those things consciously, but because those things came with the identity. You become a doctor, and suddenly there is a lifestyle that the world around you expects. And the income is just about high enough to technically support it, so nobody questions it, including them. These are not people who cannot manage money. These are brilliant people whose brains did exactly what brains do. The income went up, the lifestyle followed. And then the lifestyle kept going. So here is where the split happens. One person gets a raise, and within a few months, the entire amount has been absorbed into a new normal. The apartment got a little nicer. The grocery shop got more relaxed. The wardrobe got an update. Nothing dramatic, nothing they would even call excessive. Just life quietly expanding to meet the new income. And they finished the month in the same position they always did because the lifestyle grew to meet the money and then kept going. The other person gets the same raise and does one thing before the lifestyle notices. They decide where that money goes first. Not all of it, but enough that the raise actually shifts their financial position and not just their comfort level. Same raise. One funded a new normal, the other funded a new future. And the reason this is so hard to catch is because it never feels like a mistake. Your brain is literally telling you this is right. This is what progress looks like. Of course, you should live better when you earn more. That feeling is not irrational. It is human. The question is whether you are going to let it make every financial decision for you. So turn this on yourself for a second. Every raise you have ever gotten, are you meaningfully further ahead? Or does each new level just feel like the new floor? If it is the second one, your brain has been doing exactly what brains do. And now you know what to call it. Split point 3, debt tolerance. So think about what just happened in split 2. The lifestyle expanded, the brain adapted, and the new normal settled in. And then the income does not keep up with the life that has been built around it. That gap has to get filled somehow. So debt walks in, and it does not walk in loudly. It walks in as a solution, as a bridge. 0% financing, just $400 a month. Buy now, pay later, you will not even feel it. And in that moment, it genuinely feels like a smart move. Because here's the thing. Debt is not inherently bad. Used correctly, it is one of the most powerful wealth-building tools that exists. Real estate investors, business owners, people building serious portfolios, they all use debt. But they use it to build something that grows. That is not the debt most people are carrying. Most people are carrying lifestyle debt. Debt taken on not to build something, but to fund a standard of living the income alone could not support. And that kind of debt does not grow anything. It just makes the gap between income and lifestyle invisible long enough for the lifestyle to lock in completely. And then the payments start. And here's what nobody tells you about payments. Every single one is your future income already spent. That car payment due next month. That money is already gone. It cannot be saved, invested, or redirected. It has already been claimed. And the month after that. And the month after that. For however many months are left on that agreement. This is the trap. Lifestyle debt locks in a version of your life that has to be funded every single month, regardless of what else is happening. Think about this. A $500 car payment. A $300 credit card minimum. That is $800 a month gone before groceries, before savings, before anything. $9,600 a year. And that is just 2 payments. Now here is where the math gets uncomfortable. That same $800 invested every month over 10 years at a modest 7% return is roughly $138,000. not from a windfall or a salary doubling, just from redirecting what is currently leaving. The person carrying those payments is not just spending $800 a month, they are quietly giving up $138,000 over a decade without making a single conscious decision about it. And that is where the split happens. One person normalizes the payments. Each individual commitment feels manageable, so the total never gets looked at as a whole. And because everyone around them carries the same weight, it never registers as a problem. It just feels like life. But their real usable income is shrinking every time they sign a new agreement. The other person treats every payment commitment like a decision about their future. They minimize obligations, they drive the car without a payment. They clear the balance before the interest kicks in. And that discipline does not make their life smaller. It makes their financial position stronger every single month. One person owns payments. The other person owns flexibility. And flexibility is everything. The person with no payment commitments and the person with $800 in monthly obligations might have identical salaries, but they are not living inside the same financial reality. One of them has room to move. The other is one unexpected bill away from the whole thing feeling very tight, very fast. So, add it up. Every fixed payment you carry every month. Car, credit cards, buy now, pay later, all of it. That total is how much of your income is already spoken for before you make a single decision. The question is not whether it feels manageable. The question is what it is costing you over time. Split point 4, money awareness. So here's a question. If someone asked you right now how much you spent last month, exactly, could you tell them? Most people cannot. And researchers actually found that people underestimate their spending by around 30%. Not a little off, 30%. Which means there is a significant amount of money leaving every month that is not being consciously tracked or decided on. That gap between what you think you are spending and what you are actually spending, that is the leak. And leaks are expensive. $1,500 a month in spending you are not fully aware of is $18,000 a year, leaving your account without a single conscious decision behind it. Not because you chose to spend it deliberately, because it left in amounts small enough to feel harmless. This is where the split happens. One person has a vague general sense of where their money goes. They know the big things, rent, utilities, groceries. But the subscriptions that quietly renew, the convenience spending when the day gets busy, the small purchases that feel too minor to track, all of that lives in a blind spot. And the blind spot is expensive. The other person has visibility, not obsessive tracking, not a spreadsheet updated every hour. Just a clear enough picture of where the money is going that nothing significant is happening without their awareness. And that visibility alone changes behavior. Because when you can see it, you make different decisions. When it is invisible, you just keep going. One person is leaking money silently, the other is directing it, and the leak compounds. Because every dollar that leaves without a decision is a dollar that never got the chance to do anything else. You cannot adjust what you cannot measure. So this week, not next month, this week, pull up your bank statement from last month and actually go through it. Not to judge yourself, just to see. Because what most people find the first time they do this is not what they expected. There is almost always a forgotten subscription, an unnoticed pattern, a category that quietly got out of hand. Visibility is not a punishment. It is just information. And information is where control starts. Split point 5, saving order. Here is another place where two people on the same income quietly start moving in opposite directions. And it is not about how much they save. It is about when. One person gets paid and the month begins. Rent goes out, groceries happen, life gets lived, and at the end of the month, they look at what is left and they save that. If there is anything left, which there usually is not, and the month resets. The intention was real. The saving just did not happen again. The other person gets paid, and the first thing that moves is a fixed amount straight into savings. Before the bills, before the groceries, before the month has a chance to absorb it. The saving is not a decision made at the end of a long month. It is a structure set up at the beginning of it. And here is why that order changes everything. Money that sits available in an account gets spent. Not always consciously, but it gets absorbed. The unplanned dinner. The sale that felt like an opportunity. The week where everything felt heavy and the wallet opened a little more than usual. By the end of the month, the intention was real, but the money is gone. Because hope is always competing with a full month of living. And living almost always wins. But when the money leaves before you feel it, it stops being part of your mental budget. You adjust to what remains, which means the saving does not require discipline in the moment because the moment never arrives. The decision was already made. Now look at what this actually means in numbers. Say both people earn $4,000 a month. One saves whatever is left, which most months is nothing. Some months may be $100 or $200. The other automatically moves $400 on payday, 10%, into a separate account every single month without fail. Over 1 year, the first person has saved maybe $600 in a good year. The second person has $4,800 plus whatever interest it has earned. Over 5 years, the first person is still hoping. The second person, saving $400 a month at a modest 6% return, has roughly $27,900. Over 10 years, that number becomes approximately $65,000. Same income, same salary. The only difference is the order of one decision made on payday. And that one decision compounded quietly in the background for 10 years into a $65,000 gap. One person hopes to save, the other person guarantees it. So, the question is simple. Is your saving a hope or a structure? Split point 6. Investing speed. So, split 5 was about guaranteeing the saving. This one is about what happens after. Because saving money and growing money are not the same thing. And this is the split that creates the biggest financial gap of all 7. Not because of how much money is involved, but because of one factor that cannot be bought, earned, or negotiated once it is gone: time. There is a concept called compound interest, and Albert Einstein allegedly called it the 8th wonder of the world. Whether he actually said that or not, the math behind it is genuinely extraordinary. Because compounding does not grow money in a straight line. It grows money on top of money. The interest earns interest, the growth grows. And the longer it runs, the faster it accelerates. But it needs one thing above everything else to work properly: time. And this is exactly where two people on the same income create a gap that income alone can never close. Meet two women, same salary, same city. Both decide at some point to start investing $300 a month. The only difference is when they start. The first woman starts at 25. She invests $300 a month for 10 years and then stops completely at 35. She never adds another dollar. Total amount she actually put in: $36,000. The second woman waits. Life is busy. It never feels like quite the right time. She starts at 35, the exact age the first woman stopped. And she invests $300 a month consistently all the way until 65. 30 years of investing. Total amount she actually put in: $108,000. 3 times more money, 3 times longer in the market. At 65, assuming a 7% average annual return, the first woman who stopped at 35 has approximately $421,000. The second woman who invested 3 times as much for 3 times as long has approximately $366,000. The woman who put in less money and stopped earlier has more, significantly more, because she had 10 years of a head start and compounding did the rest. That is not a trick. That is just math running long enough to show what it can actually do. And this is where the split becomes irreversible. Every year of delay is not just a year of missed saving. It is a year of compounding that can never be recovered. You can always earn more money. You cannot go back in time and give your money more years to grow. One person delays. It never feels like the right moment. The debt needs clearing first. Life needs stabilizing first. The amount feels too small to matter. So the starting point keeps moving forward, and the most powerful years of compounding keep getting left on the table. The other person starts now, not when everything is perfect. Not when the amount is impressive, now. Because they understand that in investing, the most valuable thing you will ever have is the years behind you. And every year you wait is a year you are spending from a balance you will never get back. Time rewards the early, not the perfect. So the only question that matters here is not how much you are going to invest. It is when you are going to start. Because if the answer is not now, the cost of that delay is already running. Split point 7. Time horizon. Every split before this one has been about behavior, about spending and debt and saving and investing. But this last one goes deeper than all of them. Because it is not about what people do with money. It is about what they are actually optimizing for. And this is the split that sits underneath every other split. One person is living for right now, not recklessly, not carelessly, but every financial decision they make is being filtered through one question. How does this feel today? The comfortable apartment feels good today. The new car feels good today. The purchase that rewards a hard week feels good today. And today is where the decision gets made. Tomorrow is abstract. 5 years from now is almost imaginary. So the money consistently goes toward what makes right now feel better. The other person has made a quiet but fundamental shift in what they are actually trying to build. Not a perfect life right now. Options later, freedom later. The ability to make choices from a position of strength rather than necessity. And so their decisions get filtered through a different question. What does this cost me in the future? Not obsessively, not joylessly, but that question is in the room when the decision gets made. And here is what that difference in time horizon actually means in practice. The person optimizing for today funds their comfort. Their money goes toward making right now as pleasant as possible. And right now is always pleasant. But 5 years from now looks almost identical to today. Same stress, same paycheck dependency, same feeling that something should have changed by now, but somehow hasn't. The person optimizing for later funds their options. Their money goes toward building a position where future them has choices that present them does not, and right now might feel slightly less comfortable. But 5 years from now looks completely different, because every quiet decision compounded in the background into something real. This is the deepest layer of the split, because you can teach someone to track their spending, you can show them the debt math, you can walk them through compounding, but if the time horizon does not shift, if the brain is still only making decisions based on how today feels, every other split point eventually defaults back to the losing side. One person is buying relief. The other person is buying time, and time is the only thing in this entire conversation that cannot be earned back. So the real question, underneath all 7 splits, underneath all the math and the behavior and the psychology, is this. Are you making decisions for the person you are today, or for the person you are trying to become? Because that answer determines everything. It is the reason 2 people can sit in the same office, earn the same salary, and live in the same city, and end up in completely different financial realities. Not because one got lucky, not because one earned more, but because one was making decisions for today, and the other was building for later. That is the whole story. That has always been the whole story. So here is the thing. You have just heard 7 split points. And if you are being honest with yourself, some of them landed uncomfortably, maybe more than one. And the natural next question is, why? Why do intelligent, hardworking people consistently end up on the losing side of these splits when the information is right there? Because it is not an information problem. It never was. Nobody arrives at 30 with a car payment, a credit card balance, and no savings because they did not know saving was important. They knew. Everyone knows. The gap is not between knowing and not knowing. The gap is between knowing and actually doing. And that gap is psychological. The first thing to understand is that the brain is wired for right now. This is called present bias, and every human being has it. Given a choice between something good today and something better later, the brain consistently and predictably leans toward today. Not because you are weak, because your brain was designed for an environment where tomorrow is genuinely uncertain. The instinct to take the reward now is ancient. It kept humans alive for thousands of years. It just does not serve a modern financial life particularly well. And then there is the social environment. You are not making financial decisions in a vacuum. You are making them inside a world where the people around you are spending a certain way, living a certain way, signaling a certain level of success a certain way. And the brain reads social cues as safety signals. If everyone around you has a car payment, the car payment feels safe. If everyone around you is upgrading their lifestyle after a raise, the upgrade feels normal. The social mirror around you reflects the behavior back as correct, and that makes it almost invisible as a choice. There is also the role of emotional avoidance. Looking clearly at your financial situation requires sitting with some uncomfortable truths, and discomfort is something the brain is designed to move away from as quickly as possible. So, the bank statement does not get opened. The total debt does not get added up. The retirement account does not get checked. Not because the person does not care. Because caring and then seeing something painful feels worse than just not looking. So the avoidance becomes its own financial decision, one that compounds quietly in the background, just like everything else. And underneath all of it is something even simpler. Most people were never taught this. Not in school, not at home. The families that had strong financial habits passed them down quietly through behavior, and the families that did not pass down a different set of behaviors just as quietly. The patterns most people are running in their financial lives were inherited, not chosen, which means the first act of real financial change is not a budget or a savings account. It is recognizing that what feels normal to you was taught to you, and what was taught can be unlearned. This is not about intelligence. The doctors and lawyers from Split 2 are proof of that. This is about patterns, deeply human, completely understandable, heavily reinforced patterns that run in the background of every financial decision you make. And the fact that they are understandable does not make them harmless, but it does mean they are not permanent. You are not broken. You are just running a pattern that was never designed to build wealth, and now you can see it. So now you know why it happens. And before we close, I want to give you your practical first steps. Not a complete financial overhaul, just the 5 things that will start shifting which side of the split you are on. The first one is visibility. For the next 7 days, track every single dollar that leaves your account, not to judge it, just to see it. Because you cannot make better decisions about money you cannot see. This one action alone will show you things about your own spending that will genuinely surprise you. The second one is a plan. Once you can see where the money is actually going, build a simple spending plan around what you found. Decide before the month begins where every dollar is going, not rigidly, not perfectly, just intentionally. Because a plan turns your money from something that happens to you into something you are directing. The third one is automation. Open a separate savings account if you do not already have one, and set up an automatic transfer for payday. The amount matters less than the consistency. Even $100 a month that moves before the lifestyle notices, it is $100 that is now guaranteed instead of hoped for. The fourth one is clarity. And add up every fixed payment commitment you are carrying right now. Car, credit cards, buy now, pay later. All of it, write the total down. Because that number is the size of the financial box you are currently living inside, and you need to see it clearly before you can start shrinking it. And the fifth one is the most important. If you are not investing yet, start this month. Open an account, put something in. The amount is almost irrelevant right now. What matters is that time starts running for you instead of against you. Those are your first steps. Simple, doable, this week. Now here is where I want to leave you. Think back to those 2 people we started with. Same city, same salary. 5 years later, one is building something real and the other is still counting days to payday. The difference was never the income. It was 7 quiet decisions repeated over time. None of them happened because someone was foolish or weak. The patterns were human, completely understandable. But patterns can change. You do not need a different income. You need a different system. If this video helped you see something clearly today, please give it a like and share it with someone who needs to hear this. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who deserve this information. And if you are not subscribed, yet do that now, so you do not miss what is coming next. Please remember, luxury is easier when your money is organized. I will see you in the next one. And I love you.